again, this has gone to become a memoir, from a chronicle to battles and all of that. At one point in the story, Lucifer left like 2 kilometers of trash around the perimeter of the house. But that trash was gold. Why would he do trash to me as a gift? There's a reason. Because I broke into Vatican years ago without stepping foot. So I told the Vatican at that time, again, like it's a narration of a true story. I told the Vatican at that time, what you threw in the trash, I brought back to life. Everything about me is early human. And all I heard was, may she die again on a bed of roses. But so let's put that aside. So amongst the trash, I found this book. This book was tucked away outside while I was cleaning up the rubbish. I found it and I was so happy. But of course, with happy, there's a lot of abnormalities. Like if you look at this, I don't know who did that, but it's beyond art and it's beautiful. That's first of all. The second is, of course, it's filled with blood. I have to put it on a special paper because if forensics comes to my door, they will get a chance to look at it. But I kind of want this framed. Then there is a clue that this belongs to me, because the zone of Hanan was generated by me, which is Yıldızilkin. At that time, Lucifer wrote into the book for Istanbul, because that's where I'm born. Clement says, take the zone. Al means take. It's a standard Anatolian word. Take the zone. That's how you know I'm the authentic. The noble wanted to give me Canada. I couldn't manage it. I said, I just want a small part. It's a piece of land, like the Ottoman story of the Jewish man who first asked, the rabbi who asked for a piece of land from the Sultan. These are part of history. He got a slap. I got killed. It's a piece of history on a true story. It is what it is. You may not like it. There's nothing to be ashamed of. It is how Israel became a big, big state. Because, at that time, the rabbi, it has its own story. The famous clap has its own story because the rabbis were revered as so important, and the Sultan said, we don't give a piece of Ottoman territory. This whole thing is too emotional for us, for Anatolian people, because, it's the birth of Israel. So as we look at the first poem, obviously it's Aya Sophia. Aya is moon, Sophia is my work. So they did this really, really well with the blood and the gore and all of that. But this is also interesting because we have our area that it was broken down in conflict, but it really looks like the Great Wall of China. Now you have to understand, in its wording, it's actually all Greek. It's the castle of Greek, but it's a piece of Anatolian history. And it's important, for most people don't give a shit, but I quite like having a look at it. And that is a typical Anatolian person in the 1700s. These people weren't that tall. And it's so funny because when Illuminati chopped up the work, they wanted to put like this 6-foot piece of woman in Anatolia. And I said, like, you're not even respecting the locals. Like, her crotch is going to be on top of the local's head. This is Ararat. We have a very different culture, and we want to preserve some of that. Like, for example, take these Ottoman houses made from wood. My grandmother used to live into it. But this is what I want to get to. There's a few of these. One is about 1 mile south of where I'm born. It is called the Rock of Cradle. It's where God touched down. This is probably the Vatican putting this type of structure. Today, there's one right at the corner of Markham and Highway 7. And again, it's very, very emotional because it's a tower. At that time, they had given me the name Bell because of Belleville. Belleville, story would cease. So if you're looking at the authentic version now, prior to Illumination chopping it up, this is what you're going to get. This structure is found in a few different places. One's in Italy for whatever combats took place. One's two are in Ottoman territory. One is in Markham, Ontario. It is where God touched down on earth. It's a structure with the tip of light. Now, nobody knows this, but I am releasing it today because if the world is ending, at least you get a chance to see the real. And these are the aqueducts. I'm not reading, so I hope it's not something else, my eyesight, But either way, these things should be really categorized and put into a museum or etc. Here is the big thing about it. When we think of Ottoman history, when we think of Turkey, when we think of every part of the globe carrying so much history, that is the only thing we have on earth. So when I put it into dollar signs now, of course, the Vatican even sent their special cartel for me. I survived. Make a long story short, I did survive, but it was at a lethal cost. Now, I was doing it to block conflict. These men who were fighting were so stunned with the work, they put their weapons down just to look at everything because they didn't realize. Now, this is also very emotional. My grandmother is buried on top of where the water starts, and only I know where that is. So, it's saying here, Cyprus. I don't know if intelligence did that to make me recognize it, but that's where it is. So, yes, I'm the authentic, and you will never see these things again with the blood and the gore. But at least if you're wondering why it's called CIA's Abnormal Files, you have not seen nothing yet. We are introducing everything, and our biggest concern right now is really not for my safety, because I trust the Muslim brother up the street. I really do. Even and it's so funny because they may have sent Al Qaeda, but we're not connected, but Al Qaeda and me have a sister brother concept, So it actually backfired on them. All these things were connected. Like, I'm connected to the Indian community via my grandfather, very classy man, mathematician. My forefathers, which are all Han in China. We have a lot. All I'm asking is, please, don't play with our funding. I don't know who brought these little rodents in. Nothing personal to these kids. I just don't like kids at this point because I'm this old hag who manages the graveyard right now and all this historical stuff. I died. I don't have the energy for them. We need that funding released. We need it released so we can do part 2. And they're playing these stupid games. And probably the European Jews are doing that because they want to control and they're freaked out. But ironically, I'm about 250 years. My closest relatives are Hazar. He maintains a white ID. I maintain a black ID, but we're the same clan. So it became the joke, the black lamb amongst the white sheep. All of these things are part of history. I'm also linked to the Orthodox, which makes me a hybrid, making my heritage blue eyes turn green in Anatolia, which is coming from Russia and Caucasus and all that as a heritage about 1,500 years ago into Anatolia. So do support by subscribing, and please release our stuff. Please, come out of me. It's such disrespect. It's such horrible abuse, and we have so much. You have to understand, there's a stand here, and these are probably some of my last videos because I got to move on. It's gotten so bad that if I'm not making any money, I might as well pick up a job. I've historically, even though I worked at Capri or some of the big players, I used to always work some seasonal Christmas stuff just to bring in some extra money. I've done that a couple of times, so I might have to find work. You're talking to the globe's biggest figure having to find work, and it's really disrespectful. you're foreign selling my stuff as foreign. You know, Canada is very, very special right now. Turkey's very special. United States is very special. And the irony of the story is the entire globe is special right now because I'm a piece connected to practically everybody on the globe. So do subscribe, do put pressure so we get our funding so we can do the exhibits, we can do the interactives. I died in 2018. I don't have the strength. Like, just to go to the post box is like death for me. You know, and I had to, at one particular time, I sold my house on reason for a reason. I had to sell my car. I mean, these men are just like too extreme. I don't know why they're doing that. Again, it's just probably the Europeans trying to, you know, force me to finish, but it's not going to happen. To the point I might even find work. You know, I can only do 4 hours a week, but I did ask the Bay. So it's really, really shameful. You know, I need a lot of medical things here and there, and I'm like practically crawling up the stairs. It's not fair to me. You know, you're containing the globe's jewels, and you don't want to give these to a kid down the street at 1:30 who's whipping her hair and doesn't give two shits about anything. I'm very, very passionate about what I've collected of 35,000 pages of The Sun. They don't have even, you know, 1/4 of it. Release our funding. Stop playing around. You, whatever you made off Yildiz Zilkin, because you're latched on to me, you will know how much you made. You know, come by and drop off a check. If you're giving it to a fraudster, they will collect again, and this time get it from you again. So that's where we are. Whatever money you gave away, which belonged to me, they will collect again off you. So we don't want that. Come straight to the source. Pay your dues. So I can continue, because I'm never in collections or anything like that. I don't want to have to deal with someone even thinking of calling me another entry.